Hello everybody, here's something interesting. It's about the Baha'i principle of the harmony of science and religion, but not as you know it. It gets a new twist with the publication of Persian notes from a talk Abdu'l-Baha gave in New York in December 1912. There's a full translation on my blog under The New Teachings of Baha'u'llah. The fifth principle in this talk is that religion should be in accord with reason, aql, and science, ilm. Abdu'l-Baha says, wherever religion is not in accordance with science, it is idle fancies. This is characteristic of Baha'u'llah. Until the present day, a person was supposed to accept things that reason and science could not accept. That expression of the principle is familiar, but the ninth principle is that every individual should participate in both mystic knowledge and scholarship and benefit from them. This is a religious obligation. Mystic knowledge there is irfan, and scholarship is ilm. That casts a new light on the principle of universal education. But we're not talking about universal literacy for children. What this says is that it is a religious obligation for adults too, that all should participate in and benefit from scholarship, ilm, and mystic knowledge, irfan. The rational and the devotional aspects of the human person are both part of religion. In the fifth principle, ilm is translated as science, which is the usual way this principle is expressed. But I translated it as scholarship in the ninth principle. This is because ilm means more than science. It means all sorts of knowledge, but primarily the religious sciences. That is, it is theology. In Islam, the ulama are the people who have ilm. And what do they know? They know theology, religious law, religious history, Quran recitation, calligraphy, and so on. Shoghi Effendi translates ulama as the divines, which has just the right connotations. In the Baha'i community, we are all the divines. So we should all be getting ilm, religious knowledge, as well as irfan, the knowledge of the heart. Ilm is usually translated by Shoghi Effendi as knowledge, although sometimes as wisdom, learning, discernment, human learning, attainments, enlightenment, truth. But rarely does he translate it as science. And of these, one example is the science of metaphysical abstractions, a discipline that is not a science in the modern English meaning of science. Ilmi chemia is alchemy. Ilmi simia is translated as natural magic. Back to the fifth principle, that religion should be in accord with reason and science. This has been misunderstood as referring to hard science, to evolution, the Copernican model of the solar system, modern medicine, and the like. This distortion has partly arisen because Abdu'l-Baha was giving his talks and answering letters at a time when Darwinian evolution was still contested. So his audiences wanted to know about hard science and religious scripture presenting two different pictures. This misunderstanding is also due to language, English language. Science in English has a narrow definition, whereas the same word in French has a broad meaning and can often be translated as knowledge. La science est comme des ailes pour la vie de l'homme. Knowledge is as wings to man's life and a ladder for his ascent. De lui procèdent leur science et leur puissance. Ils sont les dépositaires de la science divine et de la céleste sagesse. From him proceed their knowledge and power. They are the treasuries of divine knowledge and the repositories of celestial wisdom. So science in French becomes knowledge in English. La fin dernière est la plus haute de tout savoir et la reconnaissance de celui qui est l'objet de toute science. The highest and last end of all learning is the recognition of him who is the object of all knowledge. The same is true of German, Dutch, and many other languages. Ilm is translated with a term meaning conscious knowledge, much broader than the English science. Because ilm has the primary connotation of the religious sciences, that is, theology in its broadest sense, references to the divines in a positive sense in the Baha'i writings are often about the principle that in English is called the harmony of science and religion. Baha'u'llah writes, "The divine whose conduct is upright and the sage who are just are as the spirit unto the body of the world. Well is it with that divine whose head is attired with the crown of justice and whose temple is adorned with the ornament of equity." Imagine how different that would sound if you changed the divine to the scientist. Baha'u'llah also writes, "The divine who has seized and quaffed the most holy wine in the name of the sovereign ordainer is as an eye unto the world. Well is it with them who obey him and call him to remembrance." Once again, that would be impossible to understand if Baha'u'llah had said, "The scientist who has seized and quaffed the most holy wine." Again from Baha'u'llah, concerning the prerequisites of the learned, he says, "Whoso among the learned guards his own self, defends his faith, opposes his desires, and obeys his Lord's command, it is incumbent upon the generality of the people to pattern themselves after him." In my translations, I have sometimes used scholarship and learning rather than science, because science does not match well the field of meaning of ilm. So, in one of Abdu'l-Baha's lists of principles, my translation from the Persian notes reads, "Fourth, religion and learning are twins that cannot be separated, or they are two wings on which you fly. A single wing will not suffice. Any religion that is bereft of learning is to be considered as blind imitation. It is superficial, not spiritual. Therefore, the promotion of learning is one of the limbs of religion." In the usual translation, that would read, "Religion and science are twins." And one might well ask where that teaching is found in the writings of Baha'u'llah. As the quotes from Baha'u'llah show, this principle is certainly found in the writings of Baha'u'llah many times and with one or other consequence highlighted. In one place, God is the source of learning. In another, the learned and the king should consult. In another, the common people should model themselves on the pious scholar, and so forth. There's a compilation of quotes on this topic on my Baha'i Studies blog under the tab Compilations, and then look for Learned. The observation that ilm means primarily the religious sciences, and that the people of science are the ulama, the divines, illuminates the following words from Baha'u'llah in Summons of the Lord of Hosts. "O inmost heart of this temple, we have made thee a dawning place of our knowledge, and the dayspring of our wisdom, unto all who are in heaven and on earth. From thee we have caused all sciences to appear, and unto thee shall we cause them to return, and from thee shall we bring them forth a second time. Such indeed is our promise, and potent are we to effect our purpose. Ere long shall we bring into being, through thee, exponents of new and wondrous sciences, of potent and effective crafts, and shall make manifest through them that which the heart of none of our servants have yet conceived." If you think of science as what scientists do, this doesn't make much sense. The sciences, in the English sense, do not originate from the manifestations, and they do not collapse and regenerate at each dispensation. Euclid is still Euclid. Copernicus is still right that the Earth orbits the Sun. This statement makes sense if sciences means theology and religious law, which do originate with revelation and are revived with a new revelation. And Baha'u'llah promises that new generations of Baha'i religious scholars will emerge, imbued with novel and revolutionary Baha'i ideas. Bring on the day. Just to recap, Abdu'l-Baha says in this talk, the ninth principle is that every individual should participate in both mystic knowledge and scholarship and benefit from them. This is a religious obligation. Jamit nafus ba'id, as ilm o erfan, bare o nasib dashte bashand, wa in as faraid dinya ast. Where the expression, the harmony of science and religion, is immediately understood as referring to the systems of science and religion, the church or the orthodox dictating to the scientists, or as referring to the truths of science and religion, meaning that religion that contradicts scientific findings is superstition. Here, the focus is on the religious life of the individual. Religious scholarship should complement religious experience, and every individual should participate in both. This brings the harmony of science and religion back to its deepest roots, which is human nature. The human person is authentic and whole when both these modes of knowing are developed to that person's capacity. Well, that's it from me, and I hope you found it interesting.